Hello and welcome. It's really good to be able to speak to our Year 12 parents this evening. We're really pleased with the way in which our Year 12s have started this year. After such a difficult few months for them, they've all been really positive and it's been a really nice experience in our sixth form building. Tonight there are the opportunities for you to leave some questions, but we won't after our short presentation be answering those questions. What we'll do is we'll collate all of the questions and then tomorrow we'll send out answers to all of your questions along with a link to this presentation. Shahir, could you move the slide on, please? I'd like to start by just introducing our team. I'm Sarah Burdikin, Head of Sixth Form. You're going to be hearing shortly from Richard Beagle, who's Head of Year 12. Head of Year 13 is Faye Robinson. We've got two pastoral managers, Kobe Cookson, who deals mainly with supporting students with pastoral issues, and we've got Kevin Elliott, who supports students with more academic and career-based issues. We then have advice and guidance from Kerry Evans, and we also have careers admin from Bev Simpson. So any of these people, if you ring in, you will get in touch with, and that's our team. Shahir, next slide, please. These are our sixth form values, and we really are committed to providing your sons and daughters with excellent and inspiring teaching. Our A-levels and BTECs are challenging and difficult courses which will be stretching them outside their comfort zone, and this is where, because they're going to be getting harder work than they've ever had before, this is where your support and our support is essential. They do have, each group has a tutor, and they have regular access to our career specialists, and we are ambitious for all our students, and we have lots of development opportunities and enrichment and guest speakers, and we like to widen our students' horizons and make them look further afield. And then also we do acknowledge that activities need to be, along with all of that academic stretch and challenge that we put in there, that things need to be fun and students need to enjoy their time and their experience at sixth form. Next slide, please. It is a huge step up from GCSE to A-level and BTEC studies, and this is where they need support in, first of all, getting organised. We did provide at the transition a booklet that you may have seen that has information from all of their subjects that tells them exactly what they will need, how many folders, what sort of equipment they might need, and to help them get organised in the first place. We are expecting, along with their studies, for them to be doing homework and extensive reading and background research to their chosen subjects. Lessons will be in a more tutorial style, and they do have study time. We have looked at study time last week in the light of the issues with the current pandemic, and we have said that students can take their study time at home if it's first thing in the morning or if it's last thing in the afternoon. And I know Mr. Beagle will be speaking a little bit more about that as well. And we do expect our sixth formers to be real role models and take responsibility where possible during the current time. And we will be setting targets, and those targets they will be getting to know in tutor time shortly. Next slide, please. It's really important that we work as a team, and your support is really valued. So please make sure, even though they're now 17, 18 and they might not want you to see their work, but please try, show an interest in their work, get them to explain their work, find out key dates for handing in coursework or completing essays or homework, and help them with their self-study, and keep in touch with school. We are expecting them to become independent young adults, but independence doesn't happen overnight, and they do need really a lot of support and help in just explaining and modelling that independence at home and at school. Next slide, please. Right, from, as I've said, the support in school, we've got the pastoral team, we've got tutors, we've got the sixth form team. We can signpost them to other services, and Kobe Cookson has a great many contacts with a lot of other services that are provided within the city. We also provide academic support, which is every Thursday, where there are tutors available, and they can either come to academic support themselves to help them to get their homework done, or they may be referred by teachers if there's some work that they need to catch up on. You've still got the parent app, you've still got Sims Pay that is there for you to be able to look at attendance and so on. And obviously the other support in school is that's very important, is the career support. Next slide, please. As sixth formers, there is a transition to having more freedoms than they had when they were in lower school, and this involves them organising their own time, their own private study time. They've chosen their subjects. They will be looking at various enrichment options to help them with their career aspirations. They do have access to the sixth form Wi-Fi. They are able to wear their own clothes in line with our policy. It does need to be suitable wear for school. They can use their phones during breaks and lunchtime in the sixth form building, and they can leave, as I've said, they can have a delayed start or an early finish. They also have use of their own cafe, and we are, as a sixth form, part of the NUS. Next slide, please. Our expectations are that they actually show a positive attitude towards their learning. As I said, they act as role models to younger pupils within school, that they and beyond, including on social media, and that they make a positive contribution to the wider school. We do allow sensible dress, sensible hairstyles, clothing suitable for the school environment. As far as part-time work is concerned, we expect that part-time work to be out of their school commitment time, otherwise it will be detrimental to their school studies. And we do expect it to be outside of their study periods. We really expect those to be used to study. Following the absence procedure, so just as the same with lower school, if they're going to be absent due to illness, then they need to make sure that they've contacted us that day. If there is going to be an absence that has already, that is a medical appointment or something like that in the future, we have a system where they fill in a form, and so that we know all day where they are, whether they should be in school or whether they've got a medical appointment or something like that. We expect them to follow the relevant ICT policies and procedures, and that in teacher-led sessions, including their form time, they shouldn't have their phones out unless their teacher wants them to use it for an educational purpose. They need to follow the relevant child protection procedures, and we insist that they wear their lanyards throughout whilst they're in the building, because that identifies them as a sixth former. Treating school equipment, books in the building with respect, and as far as getting to school is concerned, it may come a point during their sixth form time that they have passed their driving test, and we do expect them not to come to school in their own cars because we can't allow them to park on site, so just to be aware of that. Next slide, please. If you're a parent of a year 7 to 11 student, this homeschool expectations you will have seen before. It is very similar to the ones that they had in lower school, with just a few exceptions, basically the things that I've just mentioned. Next slide, please. As always, and just a reminder, attendance is essential. We're expecting at least 95% attendance, which means only 9.5 days absence. I know and I understand that this is going to be difficult this year, but we just need to bear that in mind, that as far as possible, as much attendance at school as is possible. Next slide, please. Right, attendance 8:35 for period 1, or 10 minutes before the start of their first lesson if they've got study periods in school. Signing out of the office if they're ill or going to be missing a lesson, we need to know. Green form for planned absences, and a procedure for unexplained absences. That means that they need to be ringing in so that we know the reason for their absence, and we can follow that up. Next slide, please. Right, so that's just some procedural things and an explanation of some of our systems and our year group. Mr. Beagle is going to give you a lot more information, and I'll pass over to him.
Thank you, Mr. Burdekin. Next slide, please, Shahir. Yeah, so my name is Richard Beagle. I'll be the head of year for this group throughout the 2 years, following all the way through to the final exams in 2022. The first thing I want to say, and Mr. Burdekin touched on this earlier, is just a huge well done to all of our students. The staff have been really impressed, partly with the work they did over the summer and in the lead up to the start of term, and also in the start that they've made in their lessons so far. I've had a lot of people saying what a fantastic group they've got, and really impressed with the sort of level of work. So a huge well done to all the students. Clearly, these students did miss a chunk of school, and each you can rest assured that each individual subject and all the teachers are aware what the students may have missed and what they might need to focus on. In some cases, this may be content and making sure that the students' subject knowledge is at the required level to continue on the A level. Also, we are aware as well of the exam experience, which they didn't go through for GCSE. So throughout the 2 years, we will make sure that students have sufficient experience. Just to add to that, obviously we are aware that it was a very unusual time, and just to reiterate that there is a pastoral care available for students through the sixth form team, their tutors. Please just come to the office or talk to the tutors if there's anything that students require. Next slide, please, Shahir. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the year group that left in 2020, because obviously this is one way that you can sort of get an idea of what might lie in store for the students currently in year 12. These are the destinations of the students who left us in year 13 in 2020. So you can see a lot of students go to university either this month or deferring it to next year. In addition to that, we have students going on to all sorts of different things: apprenticeships, employment, college, to do sort of an art foundation course. Some students are taking a gap year and assessing their options. Our tutor time programme, which I'll talk about in a second, is geared towards preparing students for this. Today, students had a presentation from Keris Evans, careers advisor, about all the different options. So we start from the very start of the first term, making sure that students are fully aware of all the options and what they need to do to prepare for their chosen pathway. Next slide, please, Shahir. I just wanted to share this with you because we were really proud as a school in the positive attitude that our previous year 13s showed. At the end of each year, we ask our year 13s to fill in a survey, which is their chance to have their say on their experience at sixth form. And we were really proud that this year students were so positive, particularly given the circumstances, but just in general as well. We were just really proud of what they said. So over 50 students responded. Of those, 98% said that teaching was excellent or good, and 98% would recommend sixth form to friends or family. So clearly that is a really positive, the students show a really positive attitude towards the school, and we're really proud of that. And you can rest assured that your child, these students are in the best possible hands. You can see there some. You can see there some comments that the students wrote about the pastoral support and about the teaching. So yeah, we as I say, we wanted to share that with you to sort of show you just how proud our students are of our sixth form as well. Next slide, please, Shahir. So as a head of year and as a year team, our priorities for this year are as follows. Clearly, the number one priority for everyone has to be health and safety. There is a whole school presentation from Ms. Grueljoy tomorrow, which there'll be more detail about the COVID sort of procedures, but I'm sure your children, your young people will be au fait with what we need to do now. Nobody has a crystal ball, nobody knows what is going to happen, but you can rest assured that the health and safety of our students and staff is going to be a priority in school. And we thank our sixth formers for the excellent role models they've been so far in adhering to the procedures. Linked to that, our next priority is to ensure that students are in classes taught by subject specialists. If there is any staff absence for any reason, we always prioritise sixth form groups, and if that means moving around the timetable in lower years, we will do that because we know that sixth form is important. We also have been trialling new methods, so there has been one subject where the teacher has been teaching remotely from the big screen because she was having to self-isolate. So we are adapting to the situation, but yeah, again, rest assured that sixth form is our priority. I've already mentioned the what we call the recovery curriculum, where how we in school can make sure that any school missed can be caught up and can be consolidated. So I've already mentioned, talking about gaps in knowledge. In this case, perhaps it's those revision skills and that experience of the exam process. So it's making sure that we can, individual subjects, as I say, are already planning and already starting to implement that. Finally, we need to ensure that all students are on appropriate pathways. I've already had multiple conversations with students to make sure that their subjects are the most appropriate ones for them, and we'll continue to do that, both from sort of what students are saying, and we also will do various assessments in school that will enable students to sort of see where they are in a particular subject. Next slide, please, Shahir. Next slide, please. Thank you. So just an overview of our curriculum, because obviously it is slightly different to GCSE. So the majority of our students will study 3 subjects. There's some students who will study a 4th. We do have extra entry requirements for that. We do require 6 GCSEs at grade 7 or above. That is because of the workload involved in doing 4 subjects. Clearly, you have 5 hours less study time per week, plus a whole other A-level to cope with. So we do advise that if you're doing that, you have to be already achieving at a certain level. Some students choose further maths as a 4th subject, and again, obviously that is a big extra commitment. There are some students who have picked further maths as one of 3 subjects. Now, we just want students and families to be aware that if that is the case, you are choosing to go down a certain pathway at this point. For example, if you were doing maths, further maths and physics, you wouldn't be able to later on apply for a medicine degree without doing some extra things afterwards. So we appreciate that some students want to do that if they want to be go into an engineering route, say, but students just need to be aware that they are, as I say, choosing a particular route. So all students will have 5 hours per subject per week, plus 1 hour of tutor time. They will also have 20 minutes in the morning of study time, although owing to the recent alteration we've made, that would only be on days where they have a subject period 1 with their form tutor. So they would only need to attend tutor time with their form tutor if they have a lesson period 1. So clearly that is 16 hours per week plus the study time in the morning. The way we organise our timetable is we have 5 blocks, and that means that some subjects have a period 6. This is why certain combinations of subjects won't fit. If any student wants to talk about the detail, come talk to me now. Come talk to me tomorrow, but I won't go through it all now. But that is just a bit of an insight into how we organise it. We do also recommend that for every hour of study, you do an hour out of school. So that is 5 hours per subject per week. So homework, consolidation, revision, recap, discussion, just to get students up to speed with what are challenging qualifications. Next slide, please, Shahir. We do track progress throughout. The majority of subjects will have final exams, and they will be in summer 2022. So there is no more modular A-levels. The AS exams were decoupled from A-levels a while ago, so the vast majority of our students don't sit AS exams. There are some subjects which do have exams at various points, the BTECs, and some subjects do have coursework, A-levels, as well as BTEC subjects. So there is some assessment, external assessment as you go through, but most subjects, it's 2 or 3 quite large papers at the end of year 13. So in preparation for that, we do have various internal assessments. We have trial exams in the week commencing the 1st of February, where normal lessons won't run, but students will have sit a full paper in exam conditions, and that will be part of the recovery curriculum that I mentioned previously, and also that's an opportunity for us to see where students are up to in terms of working at grades. There are also assessment weeks at various points throughout the year where students will sit an assessment, but that will be in classrooms, so it's not quite the full exam experience. We constantly review to ensure students are on the right course, so we discuss that with teachers. At the end of next week, teachers are going to be indicating to me whether they think that students have made the right start to the courses, and we may have discussions with students following that to see how they can put things right, although I'm sure that the vast majority of people will have made a really positive start. There are review sheets sent home, as you've had in lower school, and they will be coming home before the parents' evening, which is on Thursday, the 14th of January. The format of the parents' evening, you'll have to watch this space, because obviously nothing is quite as normal at the moment. So we will give you more information about how that will work nearer the time. But yeah, as I say, we track progress throughout the year and throughout the 2 years to make sure that we're all up to date on how well students are doing. Next slide, please, Shahir. One element that students will become familiar with through our tutor time programme is the A-level mindset, which is a research-based approach to making the step up to A-level. There's a model known as VESPA, which stands for the 5 elements of the A-level mindset, and students will complete tasks and carry out different activities in order to make sure that they are functioning at the right level and developing the A-level mindset, which will then go on to further study and employment. We will go into that in detail in tutor time, but I just wanted you to be aware of this idea. Again, it's part of what Ms. Burdick was talking about about the step up, making sure that students are performing at the right level for these challenging courses. Next slide, please, Shahir. I've already mentioned our tutor time programs. That's every Tuesday, period 3. Students are put in a tutor group based on their subject choices, and they will have a specialist in their subject area, so one of the subjects that they do. So if they pick maths, for example, they might be in Mr. Ludlam's form, who is a maths teacher. These tutors will have regular meetings throughout the year during this tutor time, so that they'll be able to talk to students about how they're getting on and any ways that they can be supported in their studies. The tutor will also write the UCAS reference and any job references required. So that is another responsibility of the tutor, and obviously they're in a good position to do that because they'll know the students really well. Our tutor time programme will cover a lot of different pieces of information and a lot of different information that students need to know for their futures. So things like progression, careers and UCAS, so things like how can they be making sure that their application for university is as strong as possible, or how can they boost their CV through doing some different supercurricular activities. We also cover things like interview skills, and again we make sure that students are in the best possible position to apply for jobs. This is also where we deliver our citizenship, social and political awareness. So we have speakers for Black History Month, LGBT History Month, and so on. So students are active citizens. We talk about physical and mental health and how we can develop resilience and so on. And we also talk about our study skills. So that's referring back to what I was saying about the A-level mindset. So this is another part of our sixth one that we're really proud of. We think that students get a lot out of it, and we spend a lot of time making sure that it is as good as it can possibly be. So that's every Tuesday, period 3. Next slide, please, Shahir. Finally, we also have an enrichment programme in school, and again, this is about how students can improve their applications, their CVs. They can learn more about the world around them and also develop those key skills that are going to be crucial in the workplace. There are 5 aspects to it, as you can see there. They're fairly self-explanatory. The one I would just like to point out is supercurricular. Supercurricular is where we encourage students to explore activities outside of their lessons, but which are linked to the subject area or the field that they might want to apply to go to university to do, or to go into that field of employment. That is a really good way of making sure that any applications stand out, particularly for very competitive courses such as medicine or perhaps Oxbridge applications. So I just want to encourage students to take every opportunity. At transition, they did have various pieces of information of what they can do to explore that, and we will cover that again in tutor time. But I just wanted parents to be aware of that and able to sort of support their child with that. Next slide, please, Shahir. Okay, so these are our key dates, some key dates that will be useful for you to know. So in initial review, I mentioned that's where teachers will inform me of the start that students have made, and then we'll be discussing that with students at that point. Our first assessment week is on the 23rd, the week commencing 23rd of November, so students will be doing a timed task in exam conditions, but in the classroom, and so there'll be some very kind of robust data there. Thursday the 14th of January, that's Year 12 Parents' Evening, as I've mentioned, will format to be confirmed. Trial exams start on the 1st of Feb, and you will get those results sent home on the week commencing the 1st of March. So that gives us time to obviously mark them and moderate them, and there's also half-term week in the middle there. The reviews commencing the 15th of March, that is a meeting where the students will meet with Ms Burdikin and myself to discuss their trial results and any other aspects of their education. So that will be where students will be able to, you know, identify areas of strength and areas to work on moving forward. The 24th of June 2021, that is our next steps evening. So that is a way away now, but that is where we will give some more information to students and families about their options for progression. And again, the format is to be confirmed, but there'll be an opportunity for students and families to explore all the different options and what they can be doing at that point to prepare for them. Looking a bit further ahead, the 15th of October 2021 is the UCAS deadline for any Oxbridge or medicine applications. So anyone who is thinking about applying for those courses at this stage just needs to bear that in mind and be thinking about the supercurricular and the other aspects of making their application as strong as possible. So finally, the 22nd of October is when we all ask all of our students to get their UCAS applications in if they're applying, and that's just before half term. There will be more key dates for year 13, but I'll give them nearer the time. I think that's the last slide. Yes, so thank you very much for watching the presentation and joining us. As Ms. Burdick said at the start, please, if you have any questions, please type them into the box and we will send some communication out addressing any issues raised. And remember, of course, you can always phone the office to talk to me or Ms. Burdick or a member of the sixth form team. So just want to say again, really well done to all our year 12s. It's absolutely fantastic to see you all. It's an unbelievable year group. They're really I've been so impressed with their attitude, the level of study, and also the way that they've dealt with the events of the last 6 months. So I'm looking forward to 2 really productive years, and I'm sure you are too. Looking forward to sort of speaking to more of you in the future. Okay, thank you very much.